Hello friends, I'm Kayla, it's day 5 of Lullamas, and today I'm back guessing your favorite books. So I have a group of channel members who help support my channel. We do a lot of fun things together, and at the end of the year, I put out this spreadsheet for them to fill out and tell us their favorite books. It's really fun to go into it and maybe find people you have things in common with and find new potential favorites, new things to add to your TBR. And last year I did a series of videos where I basically on the spreadsheet black out the number 1 pick and I just look at their number like 2 through 10 submitted favorites and I try to guess that number 1 pick. I also did a second series like this with all-time favorites. So there are actually a couple people in this video who I have even more data to try to figure out their number 1 favorite because I have last year's spreadsheet and I have the all-time favorite spreadsheet. But we're gonna start with some simple ones where I only have the little bit of information. We're gonna kick it off with Rachel. So this is Rachel's top 10 minus the number 1. The number 1 spot is blank because I'm gonna fill that in with what I think it is. I feel like I get, I don't know, like 10 guesses maybe, and if any of them are right, then I get a point. I would like to leave this video with 3 points. I think I have 10 people. If I can get 3 out of 10, that would be crazy. If I could get 1 out of 10, that would be crazy. But I like to set my sights high. So with Rachel, we've got some general fiction and fantasy, a lot of like romance within the fantasy, but not exclusively romantasy. The top 2 picks are romantasy. So that makes me want to put, oh, they're also both by Rachel Gillig. Oh my gosh, I didn't even notice. Okay, so maybe the number 1 pick is the other Rachel Gillig, like whatever the One Dark Window sequel is. If we open it to honorable mentions, because some people include honorable mentions too, there's more like sci-fi and there's a thriller on here, some more horror adjacent stuff. And now we have 3 zombie stories. So now I want to pick a zombie story. I can't really think of anything because these seem like kind of fun zombie stories. And the only one that's coming to mind is Elegy for the Undead, but I wouldn't pick that for this person. Because of the combination of things here, there's like, okay, dark, like there's like supernatural kind of fantasy, thrilling, romance. Well, I don't know why like Butcher and Blackbird just popped into my head. Like something in that vein. If I was going fantasy, I would say maybe, because these are popular fantasies on here. What was the most popular fantasy of the year? Like Onyx Storm. And just because the other books in that series, whatever they're called, aren't here, Rachel could have read them in other years. So this could be the year for that. Or like Mate / Bride. I could see that being on here because it's like kind of paranormal in fantasy. And then it kind of feels like the zombie vibe is in it. Zombies, werewolves, same thing. But also like all of these together kind of gives a fairy tale essence to me. So I kind of want to say Alex E. Harrow. It doesn't necessarily have to be The Everlasting. I think it could be any Alex E. Harrow, or like, I'm just thinking of things that I've read. Last Tale of the Flower Bride, or whatever the latest Tehera Mafi is, because if you like Sabaa Tahir, maybe that series could be doing it for you. Or The Night in the Moth, I think, is a standalone. So another standalone fantasy that I think won a lot of people over this year was like The Second Death of Locke. Those are all my random ideas. Oh gosh, okay. If I get the first one right, imagine. Wait, no. Oh my God. I said Elegy for the Undead and I said I would not pick that person. I actually don't. Wow, this is contestable. Do you think I get a point for that? That's crazy because there's not a lot of queer stuff here and there's not a lot of overt horror. It's like horror adjacent that I thought there's no way. Well, I guess Elegy for the Undead is horror adjacent because it's not really extreme, but I just felt like it was a little more dark and like heavier and like relationship-y and not so much plot. And a lot of Rachel's favorites are plot. I'm so mad I didn't commit to that. The only zombie book I could think of. Rachel, did you read that because of me or did you read that on your own? Because I felt like we didn't, like there are some things we have in common here, but it's definitely, we don't align perfectly. So I didn't think that one of my favorite horrors would be one of your favorite horrors. What the heck? Do I get a point for that? I mean, I said it out loud. I think I get half a point. Do you agree? Tell me in the comments below. What the heck? Okay, well, I feel great now because I thought of it, and I recognized the zombies, and I wouldn't have if I only did a top 10. I let people add 5 honorable mentions, and that definitely helped me. Okay, let's move on to Emily. Emily seems a little more in alignment with me. We've got some things that I've read and loved here. When the Wolf Comes Home, Sky Daddy, Paladin's Grace, Love My Afterlife. Several people are typing Knocked Open Wide, One Bad Night, The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs. I also read A Novel Love Story. This like alien kind of one seems intriguing to me. Divine Rivals like kind of intrigues me. So this to me, there are so many different genres here, but they all seem really inventive. I think that's the word that I would use. There's like horror and romance and sci-fi, anthology, folklore, nonfiction, general fiction. They all have really unique premises to me. Would you agree? It's like a woman falls in love with a plane. A woman falls in love with, it's snowing like crazy outside. Don't mind the snowplow. A woman falls in love with a paladin. A woman falls in love with a character from a book. There's like fiction coming to life in a lot of these stories. People are getting stuck places, like stuck in books or stuck in chatbots. A TV show is like speaking to someone, getting stuck inside a whale. Like that's the vibe. And then I feel like there's a lot of kind of mysterious qualities in a lot of these books, even though they wouldn't fit in the mystery genre. Like there's a mysterious liquid, there's a mysterious puppet, there's a mysterious wolf. I guess I can't ignore that I've read 9 of Emily's top 10 or top 15. So it's likely that I've also read her number 1 spot. So I should think about that. A lot of these stories to me feel like they have a second chance kind of vibe to them. Like something has gone wrong in life, or people don't have a lot of direction, and then they get this new, maybe that's just the plot of a lot of books, but like a second chance at life kind of. There's not enough, you know, the first thing that came to mind is The Book of the Most Precious Substance. I don't even know why. Maybe because it's about books. There's a woman going on a little like journey, and it's kind of like there's love in the background, but there's nothing like really sexually explicit here that would make me think Emily would love that one. Maybe something like popular, like The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, or If We Were Villains, but that's probably just because like the nicked cover is making me think of that. Ooh, you know what would be good? And something that I've read and loved is Nothing to See Here, because that is about a woman who is taking care of these kids who spontaneously combust, like thrown into a weird, wacky scenario. That one's definitely inventive. Or The Echo Wife. There's a woman trapped in a scenario with a clone, because there is some sci-fi here. I feel like that could work. Trapped in a story, or like a story is interacting Stephen Graham Jones. I don't know if I could see Emily loving My Heart is a Chainsaw, but Jade definitely fits with a lot of these people. Or, oh my God, I Was a Teenage Slasher, because that is kind of like reality and weirdness and like not being in control. Walking Practice is a little further out there maybe than some of the sci-fi, but that one, horror and sci-fi mixed, and this list is horror and sci-fi mixed, and that one's pretty sexually explicit too. But there is some like romance here, and like Walking Practice has some it's not romance, but like Dead 11 or Death of the Author. Those are both kind of like reality and fiction meet. I haven't read Long Live Evil, but with the fantasy romance and the fiction thing, I feel like that could be a good pull, because it's like you get to be in a fictional book world. Don't Let the Forest In. Oh, Don't Let the Forest In. Okay, that's my number 1 commit, because that is where fiction and reality meets. Because there's like these, they make these drawings and they kind of come to life and they have to battle. And that's I guess there's not really YA on Emily's list. Okay, I think I've listed a lot of things and I'm just dying to know, because I'm gonna take this as a recommendation if I haven't read it. That'd be pretty cool. Emily Out There by Kate Folk. Should I have gotten there? I don't think I would have gotten there, because there's no other, there is a short story collection, and there's literally a Kate Folk, and it's like sci-fi speculative, and all the stories are really unique. Damn it. Out There is such a good book. Emily's read 275 books this year. Wow, Emily, go off. I'm sad I can't take the recommendation, but I will for Life Hack for Little Alien, because whatever that is, I obviously need to read it. Okay, let's move on to Alex. I wanted this year to make sure I didn't just include people who gave me a bajillion books, because I felt like some people maybe didn't feel like they had read enough to participate in the spreadsheet, and like everyone is valid for being on the spreadsheet because it's not just for this, but it's for a video where I read people's favorites. It's for like finding favorites amongst each other. And so Alex has 4 things here. And well, I guess technically Alex gave us a top 5. We just don't know what that number 1 is. So we've got 2 like body focused nonfictions, I think, like bodily autonomy with Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, with the horror. And I don't really know what Well actually is. I know it's about a podcaster. I think it's like kind of a toxic male podcast commentary. And then Witchcraft for Wayward Girls is like commentary on the laws controlling like young women and their bodies. And then we have 2 very body specific ones. So I think Alex likes books that talk about stuff, you know, like give commentary on things, toxicity with health and with men. I think I'm leaning towards another nonfiction. A nonfiction in the Goodreads Choice Awards, because these are all Goodreads Choice Awards nominees, I think, from this year. Kill a Witch, I think it's called, is kind of about the patriarchy. That one would make sense to me. Romance. Well, I feel like First Time Caller seems kind of similar to Well actually in content, or like Honey and Spice. There's a little podcast in there. I'm sure there's a million other ones with podcasts. There's some other popular romance of the year. Promise Me Sunshine, Say You'll Remember Me. Those are some ones that I remember being on the spreadsheet when it was coming in. Deep End? Yeah, Deep End, because that's like STEM. Or no, is Allie Hazelwood just STEM in general? I actually don't know anything about Deep End besides that it's about swimmers. Okay, if I had to go for another horror she would be into, I'm briefly glancing the Goodreads Choice Awards. Maybe like Blood on Her Tongue or Hunger Stone, because I feel like there are some similar themes. I don't get too many guesses for this because there's not too many books, so I just want to know. Julie Chan is dead. Yeah, I never would have guessed that, Alex. Alex read 70 books this year. 70 books and only 5 were huge wins. That, or maybe you just only wanted to give 5. Yeah, I think you could have given me all the time in the world, and I don't know that I would have ended up there. I love it though. Okay, that's another 0 for me. Should I go to some that I think might be easier? Because I think there's 2 where I'm being baited into a certain answer, and either it's correct or I'm dead wrong. Okay, we've got Maris. Now, Maris, I guess we can talk about everything that's here. We've got, fantasy at the top, Blood Over Brighthaven, The Devils, Hellbent. We also have Yellowface. We also have a romance. We have a historical, classic murder mystery. But then we have The Dream Thieves and Blue Lily, Lily Blue. This could be the case that Maris read The Raven Boys last year, or didn't love The Raven Boys. But The Raven Boys, it has to be The Raven Boys. I don't even want to make another guess because I feel like this is the direction that you're leading me in. If it's not The Raven Boys, I feel like it's going to be Raven Boys adjacent, kind of like Don't Let the Forest In or something of that nature. We're really all over the place with like genres. We're not just genres, but like tone of genre. And we've got series, we've got there's so much happening that I don't think there's something these all have in common, besides being like popular reads. Maybe I'm gonna throw in Julie Chan as dad, just because I don't want to get that wrong again. Because I feel like this person could like that as like their thriller horror on the list. But I'm gonna say The Raven Boys. Maris, please. The Sword of Kaigan. Okay, Maris, please let us know. Read 56 books this year. When did you read The Raven Boys? Did you read it this year? You just didn't like it? Did you read it previously? What has happened? Because there's a 10th spot. You didn't put anything. Does it not belong on the list at all? We're dying to know. Could I have guessed that if I took a little more time? I mean, maybe it's by the same author. And there's 2 Maggie Stiefvaters. Maybe I could have guessed 2 Emma Wangs. I don't think I would have. Okay, I'm going to be right for Cass, though, because Cass is baiting me with Harrow the Ninth. And I know that Harrow the Ninth is a lot of people's favorite in the entire series. So let's go over everything. There's a lot of things here that I love. In the Dream House, Our Roads into the Sea, My Heart is a Chainsaw, How You Lose the Time War, I Who Have Never Known Men, Walking Practice, Hunger Stone, To Be Taught If Fortunate. We've got a lot of my favorite things. Parable of the Sower. I didn't love Rebecca, but I get it. I didn't love Mary, but I get it. Have I read everything here? Yeah, the only thing is that I just have one DNF, and that was Hunger Stone. Maybe I need to complete it. I love your taste. I think it's great. I could probably pull some other horror that maybe is the answer, but with the amount of sapphic things here and sci-fi and horror and fantastical, like, it has to be Harrow the Ninth. You've got Nona. Oh, I guess I haven't read Nona yet. My bad. And you've got Gideon. Cass, please. Harrow the Ninth. Thank you for giving me my first full point. I really needed that. We're going to move on to Tyrion. Tyrion put how to pronounce their name, so let me make sure. Tyrion. Now, Tyrion's taste, similar to mine, again, but with totally different books. We've got Monstrilio, we've got Cersei, we've got Illuminae, first time we've seen Illuminae, Yellowface again, My Sister the Serial Killer, Grady Hendrix we have here, and then some things that I haven't read, but maybe I need to read She's Always Hungry, because I've actually seen it on a couple people's lists. I didn't love Rouge. I don't think Womb City is for me. We also have a couple nonfictions on here. And I actually think Strong Female Character, that being the title of the book in their fourth spot, is indicative of a lot of these favorites. Like, they almost all have, not necessarily a female character, but a strong character voice. I think we have a lot of characters who are actively doing something, breaking out of being controlled. That's what I feel like a lot of these have in common. Not all of them. We've got horror and sci-fi as the main focus here, but also like nonfiction and fantasy. I feel like number one could be horror, but it could really not be horror. I'm gonna say Julie Chan is dead again, just in case. I feel like book number one actually is gonna have some type of gender commentary, just based on some of these things that I'm seeing. Maybe some recent releases like Manhunt or You Weren't Meant to Be Human. Those I could definitely see. Those are a little more in like the extreme horror direction, I guess. There's a lot more like softer, warm relationships on here. Elegy for the Undead, I mean, would fit really well here. Summer Suns. What's some other queer horror that would fit here? Feast While You Can. Maybe Tyrion took a recommendation from me. She's Always Hungry I haven't read, but the title makes me think of other recent releases like Hunger Stone. Hunger Stone would look beautiful here with the greens. Or What Hunger? Or The Lamb. The Lamb is going to be one of my guesses for sure. We're going to go for it. Tyrion, what is it? The Seep. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, I was only thinking about new releases. I need to expand what's happening in my mind, because The Seep is a fantastic book. Very overtly about gender and in the sci-fi, leaning a little bit horror direction. Yeah, The Seep is a great, fantastic first pick. I love that. Read 30 books this year, and these were favorites. I'm so mad I didn't get The Seep. I probably would have guessed that if I had like thought, a couple years into the past, whatever. If you don't get to watch me win at these guesses, at least you get to get recommendations at some point for what you might like. You get to see people's taste. It's a fun time. Me trying to convince myself, even though I'm a flop, the video is still valuable. Okay, I need to get one right. Thomas. Okay, we've got Thomas. I think Thomas, we've got Cersei again. We've got One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This again. A different Grady Hendrix than a lot of other people have listed. Not everything is a brand new release. Let's keep that in mind. We've got 2 A.S. Kings. We definitely align in our taste. I think Thomas likes the stage for some reason. I think he likes dramatic writing and adaptations and retellings. Like, we've got some like Disney. We've got some, things that have inspired a play. And Everyone on this Train is a Suspect. Like, Benjamin Stevenson has a very theatrical writing style. And Hanif Abdurraqib, not this one specifically, I mean, it does talk about media, but a lot of his books are very media centric. The Kind Worth Killing is a very dramatic husband and wife, like Circe feels like a very dramatic kind of story. A lot of the authors on here, like A.S. King, are very voicey. I think they have like really unique voices as authors. I have no idea what Halfway from the Sky, whatever that one is. Because there's two A.S. Kings, I just feel like our number one pick is going to be another Ali Hazelwood, like Deep End, or another Giddy Hendricks with Witchcraft, or another Peter Swanson, whatever he recently wrote. It could be another Hanif Abdurraqib. Like I read and recommended, it could definitely be A Little Devil in America. I think that would fit here because it's talking specifically about media, or They Can't Kill Us Till They Kill Us. That one I didn't like as much, but I actually think people seem to like that one more. Maybe it's another A.S. King. I guess I didn't talk about that being a repeat. Madeline Miller. Yeah, it could be Song of Achilles. That's very dramatic. You know, there really is a mix of genres here, right? Like thriller, fantasy, lightly speculative, nonfiction, horror. We could just grab something that's missing, like a sci-fi. Maybe Thomas's favorite is going to be a sci-fi. I think it's going to be like Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, or How You Lose the Time War. Another Benjamin Stevenson. Everyone in my family's killed someone. Because maybe you read it, loved it, and then read the sequel. Oh no, you know what I'm gonna add? I'm gonna add Hamnet. I don't have a good reason why. I'm just thinking of looking at Hamilton, looking at Circe, and I thought Hamnet. Because we also don't have just a general fiction necessarily. I think it's gonna be science fiction, general fiction, science fiction. It's gonna be something that's not already on here. That's my official guess at this point. Thomas, this one was a little chaotic. I'm sorry. They Can't Kill Us Until They Kill Us. I don't know why. I just had an idea that it was going to be repeated. I don't even have a good reason for that. It just like, those are the vibes. Those are the vibes that I felt. Oh my God. That's the first one I've gotten right that like wasn't given to me. You know what I mean? Or I didn't steal a point for. I now have 2.5 points. I only have to get half a point more, and we still have 4 people to go. That was all the people that I just had their favorites from this year. Now, I'm definitely getting another point because I not only have their favorites from this year, but for Noemi, I have her favorites from last year. First, let's focus on 2025. I have favorites and honorable mentions yet again. So all together, let's take a look. We have T. Kingfisher on here a couple times. Now, I think like my first instinct, maybe because we just had a repeat, is going to be another T. Kingfisher because whatever her one from this year, what is the one from this year? I didn't end up reading it, but everyone has been loving it, I think. Hemlock and Silver. That one is going to be my first official guess. I think there's like cozy fantasy here. There's also kind of cozy mystery, cozier sci-fi. There's a lot of relationships here. I also can't ignore the fact that there's a lot of translated fiction here. Books are originally written in Japanese, Korean, and we've got sequels. So like A Drop of Corruption could be because Noemi loved The Tainted Cup last year, or also read it this year. Okay, let me find evidence I need. Okay, from 2020. Oh, The Tainted Cup is on Noemi's from 2024. Okay, we have Jeff Vandermeer now 3 times on this combination. We have more translated stuff. I want to say Frederick Bachman, even though I don't, like he's not anywhere on here. I'm just thinking like My Friends was really beloved, and maybe that's one of his like cozier ones. There's a lot of control over people, especially control over women in a lot of these stories. Plenty of mystery adjacent things without mystery being like the number one genre. Maybe something like Confessions. Maybe I read Kim Ji-young earlier this year. Maybe that one. Lonely Castle in the Mirror I read last year. Maybe that one. Convenience Store Woman. That's one I see recommended a lot. I Who Have Never Known Men. Okay, no, that one she didn't list from last year. And I know a lot of us were loving that last year and the year before. Also, Hunchback was a National Book Award nominee for translated fiction. So maybe something else from that list, like We Do Not Part, or On the Calculation of Volume. That could be a good pull. What else? Cozy. It could be that other Travis Baldree that just came out, or Watermoon. I haven't seen a lot of people loving Watermoon, but we did read it all, like a lot of the besties read it with me. So I'm sure it was somebody's favorite, but it's more romance than a lot of things listed here. I don't know. I feel like I had a couple good ideas in there. There's a lot of things though. Like, I'm trying not to let last year sway me, because Slewfoot, I could list 10 books that feel like Slewfoot. Somebody getting in control of their powers, helping people. A lot of these stories are like helping, supporting other people. I don't know. I think my T. Kingfisher guess is pretty good too. Oh boy. Let's see. I Cheerfully Refuse by Leaf Anger. I very loosely have heard of that book before. I don't fully know what it is. I think it was an option for me in when I was doing the besties spreadsheet and we were all reading our favorite things. I'm pretty sure I Cheerfully Refuse showed up as like something that I should read because I was a type 8 or an Aries or something, and it just didn't have enough people who picked it. But okay, noted, I got that wrong. And Noemi read 165 books this year. Thank you so much for sharing your favorites. Maybe Heather I will get correct. I don't know. Heather has such a wide variety of things that this is starting to seem impossible now. Her number 2 through 4 picks, I have no clue what those even are. They have listed like really important nonfiction, important fiction, like fun things too, but they all have something important to say. I've read quite a few from here. James, Notes on an Execution, Bear Town, Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This. And we really do have a wide variety of genres. I think we're taking on a lot of things here. Like Notes on Execution and Any Man are taking on like the patriarchy. They're covering like, a lot of these books are covering assault, capitalism, racism, and kind of like investigative angles in a lot of them, trying to figure something out and solve something. So I kind of want to say like fiction that has a mystery or thriller kind of angle, like God of the Woods, or like Bright Young Women, Missing White Woman. If I was going to go with a general fiction, maybe I would say There Are Rivers in the Sky. I saw a lot of people reading that last year. Or like fiction that feels like true crime. That's kind of what some of these have going on. So like something from Ashley Flowers, someone who knows a lot about true crime. There is also nonfiction on here. I don't want to ignore that. So if there was another nonfiction, I would say like I'm Glad My Mom Died. I feel like that deals with similar themes to some of the fiction on here. Or The Message. I feel like a lot of people who read One Day We Will Have Always Been Against This also read The Message this year, or Perfect Victims would be a good pairing. That Jason Mott is a familiar author name. I can picture another cover from him. I can't remember what it's called. It's called like People, something about people. Or The Bright Years. I feel like that fits with like Northwoods and 3 Lives of Kate Kay. There's something about the vibes that seem kind of similar to me. I Leave It Up to You. I don't know what that is, but it reminds me of the cover of Disorientation for some reason, like something about the colors. But also there's not a lot of horror in here, and I feel like there could be in the number 1 spot. So something that also has like a lot of commentary, like Wake Up and Open Your Eyes, or Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. Oh, we also have Heather's from 2024 and all-time favorites. Okay, from 2024, some nonfiction like Sociopath, All the Colors of the Dark. That I feel like, and God of the Woods get recommended a lot in tandem because they're like long and kind of drawn out. But then we have Open Throat and You Again and The Wedding People. We have like romance. We have gothic. Okay, so I feel good about a gothic like horror from this year. Let's also say things like Hungerstone. Then all-time favorites from Heather. Is this gonna help? Okay, I still feel like it's a blend. Yeah, we've got some of everything. I can't even look at this right now. This is overwhelming. And I feel like I just listed a lot of things, and I'm just gonna click on Heather and see what it is. No, I feel like it's gonna be something weirder. I feel like I need to say something weird, because like Open Throat. Oh gosh, let's see. The names, the names is something that popped into my mind at the very last second because I was thinking about all the Goodreads nominees. And I was like, that one, maybe not because it's speculative. There is some speculative on the favorites, like the Dream Hotel. Yeah, maybe I should have thought of that. Actually, I don't know what the names is. I feel like there's something speculative about it because isn't it like different realities if you named your kid something different? Or am I completely misremembering that? Anyway, I still have 2.5 points. We're moving on to AJ. AJ, again, we have this year, last year, and all time. But let's just focus on one thing at a time. AJ, also we have honorable mentions. So this is the first time we're seeing Dungeon Crawler Carl on someone's list, but I feel like that really does represent a lot of the spreadsheet. People were loving that. We've got Annihilation, we've got Bat Eater, love Bat Eater. Wake Up and Open Your Eyes, like I just said. Breathe In, Bleed Out, The Echo Wife, I mentioned that one. Split Tooth, Lucky Day, Pocket Knife Kitty, You're Invited, Taste, The Compound, She's a Lamb, I love the cover for You Weren't Meant to Be Human. Okay, so we don't agree, but we read similarly still. So this is interesting. I feel like I want to say something that's like kind of body horror. We also have like fun fantasy though, but we have really uniquely written books too. So I want to keep that in mind. AJ is a speculative girly for sure. There's a lot of like isolated experiences, entering like a weird situation, a weird place, commentary on climate change, the collapse of society, COVID, cloning, but also like quieter stories that aren't all encompassing like the world, but are like I said, an isolated experience, which is also something I really like. Also, a lot of these, or like some of these, I feel like kind of lean into a satirical kind of angle. Like they have commentary, but they're kind of like winking at the reader a little bit. Let's, against my better judgment, pull up last year's favorites just to see if that helps. Okay. Yeah. Romance, but still like some weird fantasy, sci-fi. Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah, this is throwing me off. There's more romance here than there is in 2025. AJ was feeling cutesy last year, not so much this year. All-time favorites, are there any romance on there? Oh, Long Live Evil made it to the favorites. So Catherine House. Okay, so when I was saying like isolated environments, controlled, I was thinking of Catherine House, but because there was nothing actually quite like that, I didn't want to guess it. But I feel like maybe Natural Beauty or Immaculate Conception, the types of books where like someone is pulled into a strange experience, maybe because of like the religious kind of vibe, I would also say like CJ Tudor, or oh my god, like a possession story, like The Possession of Alba Diaz, because there's some popular horror here, like some new horror. Alba Diaz, or The Unworthy, or The Starving Saints, or Buffalo Hunter. Yeah, there's a lot of male authors on here too. So, ooh, yeah. And if you're reading Indigenous author, yes, it's a Stephen Graham Jones. I don't know which one. Buffalo Hunter makes sense to me. Actually, yeah, that's going to be my pick. I don't think it would be any other ones over that because it has kind of a similar vibe to some of the other things. Leech would be a good guess because there's a lot of things here I liked, and I like Leech, and that would bring in the sci-fi horror. I think I've said it. I feel good about it. AJ, I got you. I got your ass. We Used to Live Here. Come on! I should have said that. I loved that book, but I didn't know if our taste was 100% in alignment. No, it is. I should have said that. Damn it. Yeah, I guess if I combine certain things, like I literally said an isolated environment and being controlled. I don't know if there was that much else here ambiguous that would have made me think of that, because there was more like disgusting kind of stuff here, and I think We Used to Live Here is more eerie and creepy. I mean, yeah, I could have just listed all of my favorite horror books and then one of them was sure to be right, but I felt confident. I think that might have been 10 people, but I still have one more on my list, and that's Frankie, because Frankie I actually included last year. I don't just have Frankie's information from last year. I actually guessed them last year. I can't remember if I guessed correctly, but Frankie has We Used to Live Here in their second spot. So Okay. We also have things that I love, like Station 11, Wild Dark Shore, The Har. But then also I don't love Nettle and Bone, and Olivia Blake is not for me. Katrina Ward is not for me. But there's two T. Kingfishers. Frankie does have honorable mentions. Okay, that brings us some more horror, even more horror. Okay, everyone seems to have She's Always Hungry. Like, do I need to read this book? What the heck is this book? Beautyland also, and as soon as I see Beautyland, I think of natural beauty. I think of Rouge. I think of like the beauty industry, getting sucked into that kind of world. Again, like some whimsical horror fantasy vibes. I need to know if I got Frankie right last year. Give me a second. I did not guess Frankie correctly, but I should have, because they had the Paul Barris Club and I didn't think of horror movie, which was very embarrassing. Frankie and I have the most in common of most people on the spreadsheet. So that should mean that Frankie's #1 favorite this year is also a favorite of mine. So let me just list all of my favorite books. It's definitely going to be speculative. Like that, it has to be speculative. It could be like the Blue Book of Nebo, if Frankie's trying to read some of my favorite things from the past year. That was last year, right? Was it the year before? Oh God, I don't remember. But that's like a little apocalyptic. I feel like that fits with, you know, Station 11 and such. There's a lot of relationships in these books, but not necessarily driving the plot, not necessarily romance. And 2024 was a similar like blend of horror, some fantasy, and some general fiction. And there were some repeat authors. So like we could just have another T. Kingfisher. I would feel good about that. I feel like some of these have like academia things, queer characters, looking at Frankie's all-time favorites. We've got some of my favorites like Babel and If We Were Villains and House of Leaves, Monstrelia, Watch Over Me. I think we've gotta have something queer here. You Weren't Meant to Be Human, I didn't love, but I feel like that could be a good shout. Elegy for the Undead, let me say it again. Feast While You Can, let me say that one again. The Haunting of Belkwood. That's my #1 guess, maybe. I mean, it could be another Paul Tremblay. A queer Paul Tremblay. The Cabin at the End of the World. If this was, you know, Frankie's starting to read Paul Tremblay last year, that could definitely be a backlist one that they got into. A Chuck Tangle would fit really well here. A Game in Yellow. Academia. Adjacent. The Book of the Most Precious Substance. A Rare Book Dealer. I feel like that could be Frankie's vibe. I also can't ignore the fact that there's a lot of Shakespeare-inspired things here. Like, I think there's 5 on this combination of lists that are somewhat inspired. So Hamnet seems wrong, but like that could be a thing. The Lear Wife. What else came out recently? Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid. Immortal Longings, maybe? Maybe Frankie picked up some unpopular Shakespeare. The Dreamers. That could be good, but these aren't really horror. I listed, I think a couple of my favorite queer horrors is going to be Frankie's favorite queer horror of the year. Did I list enough things? I'm going to regret it if I click this and it's something that I could have thought of and I just didn't take the time to do so. Life Cycle of a Moth? What is that? What is that, Frankie? I have to read it. Read 109 books last year. I forgot to mention how much everybody had read and all the data that I had because I was too excited to get some points. Life Cycle of a Moth. Like what? That's not going to give me, that's just going to tell me the life cycle of a moth. That cover scares me. This book has 200 ratings. One of them was Frankie. Okay, I guess I have to add this to my list of reads for the year. It's about isolation in the secluded woodland. A daughter and mother live in the woods. It kind of sounds like the Blue Book of Nebo. Okay, so I ended that with 2.5 points. If you want to add to the spreadsheet, I think I will do another episode because I need to get more points. But I also think this is how I started last year. I think the first video I did really poorly and then I improved on my guessing. I never could have guessed this one. But thank you all of the besties for participating, for the 10 or 11 people I included today. Thank you for sharing your taste with us. And I hope you maybe got some recommendations along the way. I have no idea how useful these videos are. I just want to feel powerful and I didn't really get that today. So I hope you got something out of this. Bye!